Alright guys, welcome back. Survival Living here. So today's video we're actually be discussing our food supply chain. The threats we're seeing the last few years, last year especially, with the manufacturing plants of our edible food for our pets, things of that nature that were burned down to the ground. We also want to talk about the farmland, these other countries that own farmland here in America, possible connections of shell companies saying they are American companies, but they're actually purchased through other countries so they can get their hands on our farmland here in America. And we need to discuss what you need to be doing as a prepper to prepare for this. Alright guys, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please make sure you do subscribe and give me that thumbs up. It really does help out the channel and helps get our videos out to other people so they can see this information. Alright guys, so as usual, I got my coffee. So one of the things I want to pop up here for you guys is this fact check, okay? And if you go on Google and type in food processing plants in America that caught fire, the first couple clips you can do is fact check that it's a conspiracy on social media. There is no plan to shut down our food supply here in America. Well, you do you, I'll do me. So that's entirely up to you on if you're going to starve to death in your family or you're going to stand in FEMA lines, whatever. Alright guys, so I've got many different things pulled up here because I want to have some notes for you guys. We're going to start 2022 February 3rd. We have Wisconsin River Meats caught fire. Yeah. Also the same day, Perry Farms, Stowe, Vermont, hundreds of cows were killed off in a fire. Same day. About a week later, 2 weeks later, Bonanza Meats, El Paso, Texas, fire. We have Shear Food Plants in Oregon, fire. Claypool, Indiana, largest soybean plant, fire, February 16th. There's over 93 other fires, food plants, months prior to year prior. But let's get more recent, 2023. So we got Tyson Food hog plant, this in Nebraska, April of 2023. There should be some pop-up here for you guys so you can actually visually see what I'm saying. Red River Commodities, Fargo, North Dakota, had 2 fires. South Fork Dairy Explosion in Texas, 2023. That was April. Guys, I'm just gonna flip them up here for you. There are plenty of places here, and that was just last year. But they say there's no conspiracy, and you know, we'll try to look at devil's advocate as much as possible on this, kind of look at both sides of this stuff. All right, my belief, there's an attack on our food supply, there's an attack on our infrastructure, and we need to be prepared for that. Okay, I do want to run you some numbers on the food supply of the world. Okay, in case you guys did not know, China, of course, is buying up farmland, but it's not just China. There's a lot of countries that buy up farmland here in America, but China also holds 2/3 of the food reserve of the world. Yeah, they own and they hoard 70% of corn there in China, 60% of rice, a little over 50% of wheat. Now that is the world's reserve, is what they have for one country. Now, as devil advocate, you look at it and go, well, the population that they have, they're going to need a lot of food. Yes. But it also makes you wonder, why do they have all this stuff, and how did that even happen? What happens when our food supply gets shut off? China has everything. Makes you wonder on some of these things, guys. One of the stuff I want to talk about today, guys, is the buying of land, farmland. Yeah. So the big thing I see on social media is how China's buying up all of our farmland. And yeah, I looked into it myself, and I started doing more and more research into it, really digging around. Now, I don't like having other countries purchasing our agricultural and farmlands here in America. But the biggest thing is on the news media is it's all China. It's not all China. All right. As a matter of fact, it should be hopefully pop up here for you guys. Canada owns the majority of foreign held farmland, agricultural farmland here in America. Yeah, China is actually like number 19 on how much acres they publicly own. Which brings us into shell companies. Because my belief, my fear is that China's using shell companies. If you do not know what a shell company is, it is a fake company, usually an LLC. They'll go in and purchase the property. And look, it's an American company that is owned by another American company, which, if you follow further down, is owned by somebody in New Zealand or wherever, and trace that down if you can, and it's sitting ownership in China. Still ran by China, still owned by China. Since we're talking about China, here's a pop-up for you. This is the largest Chinese holdings in the states. All right, the top 5: Texas, North Carolina, Missouri, Utah, and Virginia. Those are the top 5 states that China owns agricultural land in. Texas, 162,000 acres. North Carolina, 44,000. Missouri, 43,000. Utah, 32,000. Virginia, 14,000. Sounds like a lot, but also doesn't sound like a lot. Now, this is what's on paper of China owning. Because as you will see in this photo, China owns roughly 384,000 acres of U.S. agricultural land, according to the report in 2021. Now, this information, guys, you can easily find. That one article is from Forbes. You can go to agricultural USDA. You can look at all this stuff and actually see what is being reported. But it does make you wonder about the shell companies. I mean, we all know, Billy Goat there became the largest agricultural farmland holder as one individual. Let me pull up his land grab there. And I think most people just focus on Bill Gates because, quite frankly, many of us do not trust the guy. One, he's best good friends with old Xi Jinping. All right, he's well outspoken about his love for communism, basically. All right, they say philanthropist. Excuse me, almost coughed my own bullshit. Philanthropist and all this other good stuff. No. All right, so currently it says that Bill Gates owns as much U.S. agricultural land as China at 248,000 acres. And I did think that he was the biggest player as far as the single most person to have all this farmland. Jeff Bezos owns 420,000 acres. Elon Musk has bought farmland too, 6,000 acres. Now with the elitists, the rich people bought up farmland. Okay, we saw where the fake meat, was it the Impossible burger, or I don't know, whatever it was that Bill Gates was doing and coming up with the fake stem cell research biopsy meat to feed people to stop world hunger. Supposedly that's why he bought all this land, from the reports I read, to stop farming of cattle and things like that, for better for the environment and all that other horseshit. All right, you lock down the land, you keep production of food. That's it. You can adjust what people eat. You can adjust what they have to pay for food because you are responsible for the production, all that. Now, I will say this much. During my research, this is where social media has this little sway, all right? The ownership of farmland in America is still, as private citizen small farms, is a 98% held by America. Now, we look at the shell companies as best we can, but shell companies are just that. You cannot find out who owns them. That's just the way it is. You can find out that, hey, this is definitely a shell company. There's no filler in this company. It just leads to a brick wall with no real owners, but you don't know where it goes. The percentage of foreign purchasing on American soil, American agriculture, is actually a small number compared to what we have here in the States on paper. But I don't like leaving things up to chance like that. Neither should you. You should definitely be stocking up. All right, guys, we talk about this all the time. Everything from rotational stock, and that is canned goods and dry goods. These are your normal foods that you normally eat. Well, you really should be working on eating as fresh a food as possible while you can, but as you know, is expensive. I have read the comments. I only eat fresh meats, vegetables, and fish all the time. I won't touch anything processed, and that is awesome. It's actually very good for your body, as long as you can track down exactly how that stuff was produced. I mean, most of seafood now, I won't touch because of the mercury content in it. It's not just tuna, guys. And now everybody likes to comment about me stocking up cans of tuna. Well, the mercury content. If you're eating seafood, odds are you got mercury content in that food. And as a matter of fact, if it's coming out near Fukushima, you might be eating some radioactive stuff. Just saying. So you need to stock up food for your family. Now, let's just say that our government has sold off all of our land, a large majority, to foreign parties, and they decided to not produce or ship that food elsewhere instead of here in America. What does that mean to the American people? Well, if that does happen, I mean, I don't see how it could, because it seemed like we'd be locking the stuff down and going to war over it. But let's say it does. You need to have food put back, because there won't be any. The majority of food, the world's food, is in China. We gave the numbers. What was it? 70% of corn, 60% of rice, and 50% of wheat is in China. That's the world's food. Yeah. So you might want to have some food put back, right? Again, canned goods, dry goods, they'll last you through growing season of your own crops. All right. Now, and I see the comments, and I just feel like people don't fully understand, or they don't go in depth enough in the research of this, because I see well, all you need is seeds. Yes, you definitely need seeds. You need to know how to grow your own food. That's why I say canned goods, dry goods, to carry through growing season. But let's just say that shit hits the fan has not happened yet, as far as full-blown apocalyptic, no rule of law. All right, let's just say that the food prices is through the freaking roof, and you can barely afford to feed your family, but you have seeds. But you live in the city, you live in a trailer park, or you live in an apartment complex, and what patch of grass is there, you're not allowed to dig it up and put a garden there, because the rules of where you're living at says no, you cannot do this. A lot of good seeds did you, because you're going to get evicted from your place, fined, whatever, and good luck protecting that in the city, in a trailer park, in an apartment complex. All right, now if you have teamed up with the management there and landowners and stuff like that, so yeah, this is a good idea, let's all work on this together, that's great. Odds are, with society still in operation, they're going to say no, and as a matter of fact, pack your bags, we want you out of this place, you're evicted. A lot of good seeds, did you? This is why I say stock up canned goods and dry goods. Now, if you don't like canned goods and dry goods, guys, there are long-term food storage, there's powders, there is the ones that we're affiliated with, they're for Patriots, that's a deep freeze-dried foods. There's all kind of different companies you can choose from. That is very expensive. Freeze-dried food, doesn't matter what company you go with, you're going to pay a pretty penny for, because this stuff lasts 25 years. The odds of being able to save up the money and put back several years worth of that is very slim for the common working man and woman. All right, we're trying to pay power bills, we're trying to pay rent, we're trying to pay, the things we deal with on a daily basis. And with fuel going up, food going up, it's just easier and cheaper to do canned goods and dry goods, and you rotate it. Now, the argument of, and I see it all the time, well, I've eaten a can of such and such 15 years past date. Well, that's good for you. I cannot come up here and tell you that your can of beans is going to last 20 years past date, because I don't know how you stored this food. Now, food does last much longer than the expiration date. Some foods, not all, on your canned goods. Some, and it depends on how you're storing it. If you have fluctuating temperatures, if you stored it outside, I wouldn't touch that. All right, that stuff needs to be thrown out. Odds are you're going to get botulism out of something like that. You're going to get food poisoning. Okay, you have to have a constant temperature. You know, we talk about putting things in the ground. It's kind of like making a root cellar, food buckets below the frost line. That way it keeps a constant cool temperature, usually 62 to 64 degrees. It's usually what it's sitting at. Nice refrigerated, very nice. That stuff's going to last longer. But any canned good, you got to check it, because if the top pops or it wasn't sealed correctly for manufacture, because let's face it, things that are manufactured anymore is halfway cheaply built, shoved out the door, and sent to you. Most of these pull tabs that they're coming out with all these canned goods, they're not designed for you and me to store for 3 to 5 years. It's not. It's designed for the would-be shopper to go, oh, I want Spam today, and they go buy that can of Spam, and they're going to use it within a few days. Unlike us, we're looking at the best buy date, we're looking at expiration dates. Okay, if I store it correctly, if she don't pop, I know I can get this many more years out of it in a rotation. So this don't make things last as long. And this is why we Mylar stuff up with a rice, dried bean, our pastas, flour, other grains. We Mylar that up with throwing O2 absorber in there. You can vacuum seal if you want to. They have vacuum seal Mylar machines. Works great. They're a little pricey, or you could just do it the way I do it. Throw the O2 in, squeeze out as much air as possible, seal it. You usually get a good brick effect. We've done many videos on that. But you need to be getting the food put back, because if our food supply was to stop for whatever reason, how are you going to feed your family? If you're relying on just seeds, you run into a bigger issue. Now, if you're out in the country and you have the farmlands and the infrastructure built to run off grid or be self-sufficient, yeah, that's great. I fully recommend it. If you have the availability to grow your own crops, raise your own livestock, that is awesome. That is a prepper goal. That is a goal of mine myself. Unfortunately, it's just not happening right now. Okay, life. But you will have threats come your way. You know, I recently did a video on rural preppers, city preppers, and I even said in the video I'm going to piss off half the people that watch my channels, and I'm going to piss off the other half. Yeah, because I want people to really think about, just because you live in the country doesn't mean you're going to survive anything. All right, I got some good friends down south, South Florida. They're out in the sticks, all right, but they're training. I mean, we're talking about non-stop firearm training, tactical movement, everything. They are working on breaching rooms, breaching buildings, everything. Laying out in the swamp for hours on end, days on end, waiting on a sniper shot. That's what they're doing. That's how you will survive. Not just screaming, oh, I'm country. That don't mean shit. It don't. I was raised country too. I'm a mountain boy if you want to get technical on things. I teach outdoor survival. I'm always out in the woods. I'm always training non-stop. And there's times that things are tough for me as well. And I'm always out there. So just screaming, I'm country don't mean jack. All right? So if your plan for survival is just to have a whole bunch of seeds, you need to look at shit hits the fan. Not everything is going to be full-blown apocalypse, no rule of law. In other words, there's still going to be rules. There's still going to be taxes. There's still going to be all this stuff, because the price of things went through the roof, and you can't afford to feed your family, but you're also not allowed to grow your own food. And this is why we say stock up. You know, I've been injured many times in my line of work. I'm a welder by trade. I hang steel. I'm a mechanic. I am always doing the physical labor stuff, but it's the skilled craftsman level. And sometimes you get messed up. It's just the way it is. When I had my bad fall and wound up in the emergency room, intensive care, and they had to do surgery on me, we survived off my preps for over a year. Our canned goods, all that stuff. We didn't have no spare money to go buy groceries. We only got like 60% of my normal paycheck while I was going through my surgeries, workman's comp stuff. That's power bill, rent, all that stuff. Okay, you hit a big loss like that, you're pretty much screwed. You got to make cuts. Well, that's where preps come in, big time. That's a huge SHTF moment right there. So guys, I want to encourage you to put back as much food as possible. Should you put seeds back? Yes, of course. But don't be just reliant on a packet of seeds. Or I know someone probably just commented, I grow herbs. That's great. If I wanted a seasoning thing, awesome. I'm more worried about high caloric intake and protein for my family to actually function. I can speak on this because before I got hurt again, I was always lifting. I knew how much protein my body needed, how much calories I needed in my body at all times to function at the level I was needing to do. Chewing thyme or whatever, however you pronounce that, is not going to save you or your family. It won't. Sorry. Anyway, guys, again, if you have actually stuck through the channel here and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe for me. It will help out the channel greatly. All right, speak to you later.